Hey everybody, I'm Nathan, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying them, then I have to review them. So this review is going to be for Amazing Spider-Man number 668 by Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos. There's also Azabara and Delgado, Edgar Delgado on this. I've always liked Ramos's artwork. It's kind of a graffiti style, a little bit cartoonish, but I think it comes into this type of storytelling very looks really great. And I've always liked Ramos's Spider-Man stuff in particular, and I even bought action figures associated with they're up there, that's why I looked up there, that are based on his designs for the Green Goblin and Spider-Man, because I liked it and thought they were so unique. So that being said, this story has a little bit of an edge already just because I like the artwork, especially for Spider-Man. Now, this continues. This is part 2 of Spider Island, which is the Spider-Man event that's happening in Marvel right now. Basically, the idea is Miles Warren, the Jackal who created the original Spider-Man clones back in the day, has genetically engineered bed bugs to be able to give people the spider powers that Peter got from a spider. And so with the bed bug infestation going on in Manhattan, a lot of people are getting their own powers, or getting spider powers, and everybody's trying to deal with it. So in this story, Spider-Man shows up and tries to fight alongside his friends, but he's getting confused with a bunch of other people who took Spider-Man clothes from another villain. I think it was actually from the Jackal himself, but that wasn't clear. And so they were getting confused and hitting him instead, so he left. But anyway, he figures out that he doesn't have to be dressed in Spider-Man clothes. He can just be Peter Parker, who has spider powers like everybody else on the island, and he gets pretty psyched about that. There's a really good splash page of that, too. He unites the people, the New Yorkers, so that they can start fighting all the bad guys that have Spider-Man outfits on now as himself, which he greatly enjoys, it seems like. Oh, here's a good question. This is something that always bothers me about the Spider-Man powers. He's wearing shoes here, as are everyone else, and I thought part of his spider abilities were to stick to surfaces with his feet. Right? You're landing on your feet, you're jumping off of things, sticking to things, running up walls. You need your feet to have the sticky ability on stuff. How does that work through shoes? And why don't all these people have their shoes off? It's something that seems to be overlooked or ignored altogether in a lot of stories, and I would like to see it explained somewhere someday. If any of the writers are listening to this, which I seriously doubt, please address that at some way, somehow. In any case, there's a bunch going on in this story. The Spider Island story has a bunch of tiny little stories going on through it. There's Horizon Labs, Peter's work trying to figure out how to combat this whole outbreak. There's John Jameson's Spider Squad. It's a bunch of tech that he's created through NYPD to fight Spider-Man and spider-like powers. They come into it, and then there's a whole bunch of heroes that are working on it, and then there's Peter's relationship with Carly Cooper, who's trying to cover it, and I think Nora Jones is in here too. So it's really, there's a lot of story points going on here at the same time. And then they bring in some more. Everybody's questions, or a lot of questions, were whether or not Anti-Venom and regular Venom were going to meet or be in this, and this story is the first time that we see that they're both influential in what's happening and will be in here together. I think Anti-Venom is curing people with spider powers of their spider powers because he feels like it's a disease, and I don't know exactly what Venom's doing. I guess he just happens, he's helping to stave the outbreak or whatever. Anyway, this is I'm really excited and looking forward to being able to read Spider Island all together. I think it's a little too broken up in the different issues that it's in here. I think it was maybe it was just Amazing Spider-Man, but I've been reading like all the little tie-ins like Venom and Deadly Foes and Kung Fu and Spider-Girl. Kind of. I haven't been reading all those. But anyway, it seems like it's all over the place and has a bunch of plot lines going on at the same time, and it'd be a lot easier to follow if I had them all together at the same time, read one after another. And maybe I'll go back and do that when it's all done and just read the Amazing Spider-Man issues, because I think I'm getting them all. I don't know. But the artwork's really great, as usual, although it gets a bit crowded here with a lot of the characters in the same panel. Makes it kind of difficult to see everybody that's there. And generally after like a row or two, they kind of get grayed out and less detail. So you kind of miss out on a lot when there's a lot going on in the panels. But I'll say one thing. A lot of times Ramos has little squares floating in the background, and there weren't really any of that in here, so I was pretty happy about that. So anyway, that's Amazing Spider-Man number 668. I would give it a 4 out of 5 for sure, because the art is so great. There's so much story going on, it's hard to really tell what's going on, but I'm enjoying it, and it's an above average comic right now, which is a lot, especially for the Spider-Man series, and especially for a lower level kind of smaller event than the main Fear Itself event that's still happening in Marvel, which is amazing. Still happening. That is continuing, and this has already started, so it's really weird schedule-wise. But anyway, there you go. Amazing Spider-Man 668, 4 out of 5. If you like that review and want to hear other reviews done by me, look for Spidey207 on YouTube or Peteparker elsewhere. There's Comic Vine, there's iFanboy, there's the Marvel and DC databases, and I've just started putting out all my DC reviews on thebatmanuniverse.net. So I recommend any of those places to check them out. They're all awesome sites. Otherwise, in any case, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you in the next one.